Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, we saw the Second Colonial War take place, but most importantly for this episode, we saw Red invade into the Orange team right here, which caused two alliances to be formed. This anti-Red alliance, formed by Rome and Orange, and this pro-Red alliance, formed by Red. And this is, in fact, the beginning of World War One. So let's see how this kicks off, and I know that Red is the only one in this alliance. That's because they will be adding people to this alliance, however, not just yet. So Red knows that these alliances are going to quickly grow because not a lot of people like them. Green, on their border, doesn't like them. Russia doesn't like them. A lot of Asian countries don't like them. Not all of them. India is kind of neutral about it. I mean, not really. They'd rather roam, but more countries would rather roam than rather Red. So that's not good. But anyway, Red, knowing that they barely have any time, is going to blitz. So in the first few days of the war, Red is going to push through this. And actually, just for this, I did finish off the major military bases. So look at that, we have a full world of major military bases. Isn't that cool? Also, I finished the province map because I finished off South America. Anyway, sorry, getting a bit off track. Red pushes into Orange, and this front line doesn't last too long as Red continues pushing in, and it goes pretty fast, connecting both of these front lines, making one large front with a bunch of naval landings down south here, gathering up a few different places that are key for this war. And Red continues pushing in on this front line. They aren't able to push in too well up here, but if they're able to gather up this southern area, then it could go well for them. So far, it's going really well for Red over here, and it's not looking too good for Orange, but luckily Rome is still in this alliance. And they reach all the way up to the capital right here and capture the capital within 2 days of the war beginning, and then they slam all the way east and take over what Rome has taken over, or take over the rest of the country. And Orange is the first country to fall, and they fall very quickly. Let me change the color of that. That looks better. Now it's their turn to start pushing into Rome, and Red is not that strong. They aren't able to fully push into Rome. However, they push into Rome nonetheless. They're only able to capture 3 major cities, and that's a lot of major cities. I don't know what I'm saying only, but they're able to capture 3 major cities, and we're going to take a break from this front line, and why there's only this front line, so that obviously means that we will see more countries joining our alliances here. So, joining this anti-Red alliance will be first and foremost the Western European Accord because, well, they don't really like Red. So, all 3 members of the WEA or the Western European Accord or the Octagon Alliance join Rome's side, and I guess it's only Rome because Orange is gone. But it's not just that, as more countries than this join. We also see Poland join. This little pink country joins. I'm not actually sure what this is. The Netherlands, I guess. Belgium? This is Belgium. We'll call these guys Belgium. And last but not least, and this is a very strategic pull by Rome, they know that this country will most definitely join, and this country is no other country than Green. That's right, Green is trying to get back at Red for like the 15th time in this history of the world. I mean, probably, actually, no, this is like the 4th, I think. The 4th time. But anyway, the pro-Red alliance on Red's team is, well, this is Red. France and Spain both join. Germany, which is kind of crazy. Germany hasn't really been aligned with Red too much in the history of the world, but Cyan also joins. And last but not least, so does Ukraine. Now, of course, Rome did send a few, askings to people, to certain countries to join, those being Blue, who declined because they're kind of afraid of Red. They do hate Red, but, they're kind of scared of Red. Rome also goes out to Norway and Russia, but both of them declined. So, as you can see, this war is no longer regional and it is global. And the only two military alliances in the world are now at war with each other. I mean, these just formed, and this all started because Rome had a defensive pact with Orange, which no one in the world knew about. So, why are all these countries joining if they're defending Orange? Not like this Belgium country, they don't care about Orange at all. That's because the people in this triangle alliance, the people with a triangle shape over their country, don't believe in fighting for Orange, but they believe to fight to get rid of superpowers like Red. Red has been hogging all of the power, and they want to be able to have power to themselves, and that's why they are joining. Now, the people in the Diamond Alliance think that you should have superpowers. So it's basically the Diamond Alliance is you should have superpowers, and the Triangle Alliance is you shouldn't have superpowers, and they're fighting this war to decide it. Not really decide it, but like get rid of it, I guess. And then the Diamond Alliance is here to defend it. So the Orange team, or the what? The Triangle Alliance is the offensive in this war, and the Diamond Alliance is the defensive. But anyway, we're gonna see them clash everywhere, all over the world. Let me actually put this on the colonies. I'm going to do that. Okay, there we go. That's pretty helpful. I also just realized that Orange is technically still fighting in this war. But we're just going to have these guys declare independence, I think. So here we go. This is Pink Country coming back. I don't remember if they were pink. I think they were pink. But Pink Country is back for now, at least. They're probably going to have to be forced back into Orange after the peace treaty. I don't know, though. But also another thing I want to talk about is how France and Spain are fighting in the same alliance. So basically, this war isn't really like they don't care that they are in the same alliance and they were just fighting. They fought two wars just against each other. That's not really what they're fighting for. They're fighting for what they believe in, not for like. I mean, some countries like Germany, they're fighting just to get land and stuff. But these two are fighting for what they believe in because they used to be superpowers, but now they're not. Spain lost two wars, one against the African Union, losing this, and then one against Catalonia, losing this. So they've lost most of their coastline, which isn't too good for them. And then France, they used to rule over a lot of land. They had this here, they had this over here. They had a lot of land, but then they fell apart. So we're going to move over here into the the North American front, where we see the first fighting happen. Well, the first fighting in North America happen, I mean. But we are going to see our second or the third time that these troops will get up and move and start mobilizing in North America. And by the way, this war broke out. Wait, when did I say? I gotta go through my notes. Hold on. This war broke out October 2nd, 1852 at 8 p.m. That's what's in my notes. I'm pretty exact on that, I guess. So anyway, I'm not going to focus too much on naval warfare unless where it's important. There are, I'm not going to say any spoilers, but there are times where, like, a front is so necessary that I'm going to get a bigger map, like an enhanced map, to, like, show that fighting. That's how necessary it is. But anyway, I don't think I'm going to be focusing on Navy too much where it isn't important. Quick disclaimer, the waters over here, like in this central general area, those are very, very choppy. So, France is not able to directly attack into Ireland. So yeah, that's just a little disclaimer. And also, Belgium joined before France and Germany joined. If they definitely wouldn't have joined after them because they're kind of surrounded by both of them. But anyway, the Irish moved their troops in, trying to capture a bit more around New York because that's a good spot to have. New York City over here. I mean, well, not New York City literally, but like, New York City's here. But they keep on moving their troops in, and it's going pretty dang well for them over here. They also make multiple movements over here in the like North Dakotian area, and it seems that France and Spain can't seem to work together too well when fighting up against Ireland. Ireland's navy also breaks through and attacks over here, encircling just a little bit of navy over here, getting rid of them, and shoving the rest of this navy right here all the way out of Lake Superior, and they continue the chase down through Huron and Michigan. And with them getting full naval superiority inside of Superior and Huron and about half naval superiority inside of Michigan, they're going to make a bunch of naval landings, a bunch of amphibious landings, and it's not looking too good for the French over here. Now, when I say the French, this is also a combined force with the Spanish, like the Mexican Spanish, not this Spanish over here. They're fighting in Europe, but the Mexican Spanish is what I'm talking about, and I'm talking about the French Americans over here. But anyway, they make a big touchdown over here, I guess, to start invading into Lake Erie, and they start taking over Lake Erie and, Lake Erie Falls over to, whatever you are. You're Ireland, my bad. And then with that, Ontario gets claimed, and then the rest of Michigan is chased down. And it seems that finally, not finally, that was actually pretty quick, but Ireland has gained control over the Great Lakes. With that, Ireland makes another bulge in to start attacking more, and they've already almost taken over all of Michigan, which now they have. Now they go into the Toronto area, which has been encircled, and they wipe that out, wiping out this and this right here as well. And then they make another encirclement right here, which wipes out this. And by the way, at this point, we do have World War I technology. I know we are in the 1850s, but just trust me, we do have World War One technology, and that is for a very specific reason that I cannot tell you for other reasons. But oh god, the Irish are going to start a spearhead trying to cut off the Wisconsin and Minnesotan area off from the rest of the country, because that is a not actually powerhouse of it is a good place for agriculture, but not a good place for major cities. Let me check. Yeah, there's only about one major city, and it has been captured. Since they're not major military base targeting, I'm not going to show the major military bases, but they're going to finally make a good encirclement right here. And once that happens, the French are going to actually finally be able to make a breakthrough, and they try to push back against this, but it doesn't go too well for them, and they get pushed back again. On the inside, these guys try and push out, and it seems that, this front line just isn't moving too well for anyone, and it seems that they're just making their encirclement even bigger because each time they expand outward, these troops fall out further. So they're liberating the inside while the outside gets captured more. However, eventually they start pushing back in again, and it's not looking too good for the French over here. Another encirclement is pulled off, followed by one more encirclement. And now these guys are all split into multiple different groups. This group right here falls, followed by this group, and then finally they make one final push in to this group right here, getting rid of a lot of troops early on in the war. So that's the starting of our North American front. Now we are going to move into our African front, which is probably the scariest front for me. So France is going to start pushing into, whoa, my screen just went black. I don't know if you guys can see this, but my screen went black. France is going to start pushing into Poland. Oh my god. France is going to start pushing into Polish Sudan, and that is all that they're able to do, just this. They are also going to start pushing into whatever this country's called, Catalonian Egypt, and they're going to be able to capture one major city, but that's it. Then they're also going to try and push into Carthaginian Rome. Oh my gosh, wow. They're going to try and push into this. They also try and make another push over here. Why am I British? But that doesn't go too well for them, and they get pushed all the way out of Rome. And on all fronts, Rome unleashes their push into these guys, and it is not looking too good already. And it seems that Rome has already started up their spearhead, which is going straight for the major city down here. This one right here, it's the best major city inside of this, and well, that is what the little trade country right here, that used to be their capital, so it's very, very good. And there's also a major city right in the way, which they captured. And as you can see, very, very quickly and very, very suddenly and very, very quietly, the African safety statement seems to have been dissolved. The African safety statement, which also, oh my gosh, I just realized how outdated these naval borders are here in Africa. Luckily, there's no naval fighting in Africa in this episode. But the African safety statement basically said, and it basically agreed to all European countries, that if you are being attacked inside of Africa, we will come to your aid, and you are forced to. However, obviously this is being broken because, well, France is invading into Poland and Catalonia, and then Rome is invading into France, and no one is really helping anyone about it. So inside of the African front, Rome builds up on their little thing over here. And now moving down south, we get to a very, very scary part of this war, and that is the Irish. So I think I've been underestimating the Irish the entire time. I mean, I haven't been underestimating them, but I don't think I've talked about them enough and how actually powerful they are, because, well, they are very, very strong. And same thing with Red. I don't think I've talked about how strong they are in a long time. While everyone's been out there colonizing, they've been focusing on themselves, and that's how they're able to just, do all this pushing here. But same with Ireland here. I mean, not same with Ireland, but they are very, very strong, and I don't think I've talked about them enough, about how strong they are enough, so I just wanted to bring that up. But anyway, they're pushing into Spanish Africa, and it is not looking too good for the Spaniards. Spanish. And as you can tell, they are not going for quantity over quality, because they're already heading. Or wait, no, they're going for quality over quantity, because they're heading over for these major cities right here, capturing one more, and heading for the next, which will cut off this northern part of the country. And then they're also making a good push down south, loading up a bunch of troops and a bunch of their manpower in this general, southern area, right here. This is where there's a lot of their manpower and army, and there's also a good bit of their manpower and army over here. So they're really focusing in on this African front, and they captured two more major cities. And now we are going to move up to the third and final, for now, final front. Actually, I think this is the final front, and that is Afra, or no, not Afra, Eurasia. So this will include, with green and red over here, and then also cyan. So here we move. Starting off, we're gonna go west to east, I think. Okay, so we're back, I think. My bad. So my computer kept glitching out, so I restarted it. But anyway, luckily, our save file is still here because I saved it before I restarted it. But we're going to see, most likely, Belgium get squished here. But like I said, we're gonna go from west to east. I think I said that. So over here in Spain, I'm actually going to change the color of their major cities because I can't see them. Okay, there we go. So Spain over here, you are going to probably you can only invade into Catalonia. I mean, you could try to. Oh no, wait, you don't even have access to the ocean here or the Mediterranean Sea. You're going to push in to Catalonia because, well, obviously the war in episode 13, I believe, that is what you're trying to get your old borders back to. Plus, these border disputes that you had. Why would you try and get these border disputes? Spain's really good at fighting for border disputes, especially over here in the Americas, and especially over here in Catalonia. They just can't give them up, can they? But they're going to make a really good push, a big push down the coastline, followed by a good sweep over here, grabbing about two major cities very quickly, and then they get stopped. But they also go through here and capture all this here. But they're also stopped by the natural border of the mountains, which blocks them off from the capital of Catalonia. They land over here, though, and grab these islands. So many redeeming qualities. So they take over these islands right here. So that's pretty good for Spain. So boom, there goes those islands, and they finally are able to break through, but they aren't able to reach up to this major city right here. And in fact, Catalonia will take some of these forces, pull off a risk. They could end up having Spain break through this front line, but they're going to take this risk of moving in to Spain and grabbing one major city. Also, up here in the north, they push back against Spain. Good for them. They grab back one major city, and that's all they could do. Then over here, France is going to fight up against South France. And also, like I said before, they are very rough and choppy waters, so it's impossible to navally invade Ireland. They most likely would because of how much they're dominating them over here in North America, and how much they're dominating Spain over here in Africa, and then how much they would likely dominate Germany if they were to go all the way through Spain. But France is going to invade into South France, their former self, I guess, because, well, they split and they capture a lot of stuff in just a few days. Now, remember, they did make a little agreement over here to, take this land. Yeah, so France is going to take that back very, very quickly. This is about what they took, I think. And then they're going to keep on moving over here. And it's not looking too good for South France. But luckily, don't worry, South France. Rome is here. Rome is going to push into this front line here and take back this land. And luckily, that's all they could do. Or, I mean, luckily for, France. But Germany, it's your turn now. You're going to push deep. That does not sound good. You're going to push deep into Belgium here. So here we go as Germany pushes into Belgium. And I have a good feeling Belgium won't last too long. They're a pretty weak country. I don't know how they really got pulled into World War One. They likely got forced to by Rome. Rome did, in fact, force a few countries. It was mainly just Belgium, but maybe I don't know. But yeah, their capital gets taken, and then they kind of capitulate, and they don't surrender yet, but they capitulate. Is that just surrender, I guess? I don't know. But France is going to, or Germany is going to keep on pushing in to whatever country this is, Belgium, and they get taken over fully. So that's two countries fully taken over because well, there was already orange. And then also their thing broke away down here. And also, you have a claim over here. Yeah, that is just going to be occupied. So, this country, Ireland, is going to occupy your claim, Belgium. Okay, are you fine with that? That's good. You, Poland, are going to make a good slice right through Germany, and as you can see, they can still go through the occupied Belgium. However, that is a lot worse than, going through, their mainland, because, well, this is a bit, rowdy because they want to be free and not be taken over by Germany. So yeah, but they do make a few more pushes here and there, and they need to get to the southern front because, well, Rome is pushing into them. So it's not looking too good for Germany. Hopefully, they're going to be able to push back. Their entire southern part has been, captured, and there goes the south. And this front line stays frozen for a little while longer until Rome starts using it to invade into France directly. Rome starts moving into Ukraine, taking over a lot of land here. And they also make a naval landing right here. I gotta show off the navy really quickly. So they make a good push through here. This is not the right color or layer. So Rome makes a good push in through here, getting up to Crimea, which is awfully close to the capital. If you take a good little land route, just go right through here, and boom. Green is going to push in to Cyan right here. They aren't able to do too much over it. Whoa. So Germany continues pushing into Siam, but they aren't able to do too much. They're able to split the country in two. However, I think this is a land border right here. And then they also start pushing into red. And oh boy, do they push into red. Obviously, they are not as strong as red, and they haven't been as strong as red for a long, long time. However, there once was a time, dear old episode 6, when they had that war, and I mean when red had the civil war, and green was funding it, which is definitely confirmed at this point. Historians even are studying that at this time. That's how far back in the past it was. But this northern part here falls, and that leads to more invasion into Cyan right here. Crazy. You can still see Mongolia. That's crazy. That's really crazy. But green keeps pushing into red. They're trying to get over to this little thingy right here. This is a big powerhouse of major cities. And luckily, once they reach the first one, it's kind of easy because it kind of falls apart right after that. So here goes all these guys. And a big encirclement might be pulled off in just a second. And in fact, it was. These guys start escaping through the Caspian right through here, and they're quickly getting squeezed in by green. And well, once that is done, they are all gone, and they haven't escaped. Most of them have escaped. A lot of them died. And it's at this point where Red tries to recruit India to help them, and India declines, and they say that they would rather join Rome's alliance than Red's, and Red is very, very hurt by this. And that's when it finally happens. India joins Rome's alliance. It is a bit weird because a lot of countries would define India as a superpower, so it is weird that they're joining an anti-superpower alliance. However, lots of countries around the world do not think that India is a superpower, and a lot of them believe that red is the only superpower, and that is for one singular reason, and that is propaganda, which is going to be a big player in this war. Propaganda is it's so big at this time, especially in Hawaii. Hawaii has the most propaganda going out around the world, specifically about Korea, which is kind of weird because they aren't really involved in this war, but it is not helping Korea's stability. Anyway, what I was talking about before is how there's a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot of propaganda being talked about in this war, and it's not going too good for either side. And even countries like Russia and China, who aren't included in it, and like I said before, Korea, they are getting very, very much so damaged, and also Norway. But anyway, India begins their push, their first time ever going into red territory. They've only ever gone into green territory, and now they're working together with green. See how weird this war is making, past relationships become. Only about 100 years ago, only about a century ago, Rome would never join, or India would never join an alliance with Green, but now we see them fighting with Green. Obviously, this is only because they have a common enemy of Red, but it's not looking too good for Red over here in this Eastern Front, as they are getting very much so squeezed in. Back inside of Africa, we see France continue invading into Catalonia, and they're getting pretty close to the heartland, if you ask me. Now, here's the issue with them invading into Catalonia and Poland. It's that they're not focusing enough on their actual claims over here, and Rome is invading into that. So we have two spearheads and another one forming right here on this border here. So it's not looking too good for them over here. However, it also isn't looking too good. Hold on, I'm not done here. There's a big cutoff over here and a big encirclement, meaning, it's not looking too good for Poland and Catalonia inside of Africa. Anyway, Rome continues pushing in, and this is not looking too good for France, and that's when they finally lock in and start using some of their troops, or at least a lot of their troops, inside of Africa and start pushing Rome back. They start a spearhead inside of the spearhead, and that is when Rome starts pulling all of their troops out because they know that France is definitely capable of pulling off said spearhead, and they end up pulling off said spearhead. into the spearhead, and that wipes out all these troops right here. But with that, there is a cost, as these spearheads that they were working on up here, they end up falling back. Meaning now there's only about really 1.5 spearheads, I guess. But I guess it did come at a good cost, as now French West or French Africa is now safe, or for now. Anyway, the French are going to start pushing in to no, sorry. The South French are going to start pushing into the North French. So here we go as South France begins their push into France. Originally, this front line was kind of just, frozen. There was no one really able to move at all. But now, France or South France finally breaks through, and I gotta think of a better name for South France than what I'm calling it. This isn't even a color. What color is this? But also, I'm gonna give you guys a quick announcement. Make sure to watch both of my 100 subscriber specials. I worked pretty hard on those. One of them is scrapped video ideas, which includes scrapped WICSO ideas, so scrapped ideas for this series, and then also just scrapped video ideas in general. Then another one is a really fun one, I think, and that is what if every single WICSO country, every single country, on this map, got nuclear weapons, and it ended up being very, very weird. It ended up not really being about nuclear weapons, but it was really funny, I think. Make sure you go check it out. I really liked it. But we're gonna zoom in on a place that we haven't really zoomed in on yet, and that's the English Isles. I mean, we haven't zoomed in on Ireland, but not over here. Specifically on Cornwall. Cornwall, they have a past history. Originally, there was a lime country here, which was a breakaway of Spain when Spain fell apart, and eventually it's been very divided here. And these guys ended up staying through, and now there's really only 4 countries here, being Cornwall, London, Scotland, and Ireland. So little Cornwall here, they're a little bit behind their time, to be honest. They are a little farming country, and they haven't done anything since they formed. They formed originally, I think they were a revolt, if so, which I believe they were. But if so, they originally formed as a farmers' revolt. So this is technically just a farmers' republic. But there's a lot of farmers here, and that's basically it. There's just farmers. And let me do something a little bit special here. I'm sure that if we can just zoom in far enough. Okay, here we go. And just like that, we are now on a, mini map, I guess, of the English Isles. I put this all together so I could give you guys a better experience as to seeing this absolutely deadly front line inside of the English Isles, where France makes their way all the way through the English Isles to try and reach Ireland. Since Ireland is dominating so well in North America and inside of Africa, France knew that they needed a way to attack the mainland, and since the waters are terrible here, during like this, like it's been like this for a long time, they're gonna have to invade through the English Isles. So here's the navy of the English Isles. Oh my gosh, here's the navy of the English Isles. And by the way, these are the provinces of the English Isles. But anyway, so France is going to officially declare war on Cornwall and bring them into the war. France is going to start moving their navy, and this navy is, it's gonna stand like Cornwall stands no chance to the French navy. And this is all that I'm gonna show you for now. So yeah, this is a pretty cool map in my opinion. I really like it. I'm going to do this. I think I might do this for multiple other times in the war. I'm not entirely sure though. It's just going to be planning to see how the pacing of this series works. I'm definitely going to do it for the English Isles just because it's really, really cool in my opinion. So yeah, also there's a bunch of different dots. Let me explain that. So the biggest yellow dot, that's the capital cities. The smaller yellow dots, those are the major cities. And then all of the very small yellow dots, those are villages. Those don't show up actually on my normal map, but it's really cool that I get to show this when I'm zoomed in. And then the big white dots, those are the base of operations, and then the little white dots, those are the major military bases, and that's about it, besides one more thing. So there are trade routes right here. These are the trains, so we might see the French ride some trains. That's pretty cool. And then the blue stuff, that's boat routes. But anyway, zooming back out, we're gonna move just a little bit east as Scandinavia. Oh, that's actually a really cool name instead of whatever the heck I have. I have the Norwegian country. What if I just call them Scandinavia? That's sick. Scandinavia is gonna join. Oh my god, I just realized how terrible it's for the Germans over here. Let me talk about the Germans for a little bit. So the Germans, have been pushing back for a long time. This is in my notes. I just think I should talk about the Germans pushing back first. But the Germans, they've been pushing back for a long time, and they eventually kicked the Polish all the way out of the country. And now they're working really hard on getting rid of the Romans. They even move a little bit into the Polish right here, and that's what the front lines look like right now. So now we can go back to what I was just talking about, and that is, whoa, I just grabbed a giant chunk of land out of frickin' Poland. This is what I meant to do. Oh, this is not what I meant to do. Scandinavia joins the war on Rome's side. Like I said before, Rome is trying to get Scandinavia to join. However, they could just not get them to join. So they finally joined. And Germany is going to have to push in to Poland or Denmark here to actually take over and start invading into Norway. So here we are as Denmark finally gets invaded, and Denmark falls. And now Germany can begin the invasion into Scandinavia as they land over here because they're not really able to move in over here inside of this portion of Scandinavia because, well, that's like heavily guarded by the Navy right here. But now, finally, one more event will happen which may change the tides of the war. And it seems that Red has been going for quality over quantity, meaning they've been going for stronger countries to join their alliance, while Rome has been going to have more countries join their alliance, which is shown right now as one more country joins their alliance. But honestly, this might be a quality country over a quantity country. After four times asking this country to join, they finally get Blue to join the war. Now, Arabia, or Southern Arabia, has an actual foe besides over here, and also there has been a lot of naval fighting inside of the Red Sea. No one's been able to break through anywhere, not even inside of the Suez, even though it's very, very thin in parts, like right here, it's very thin. But no one's been able to break through. But anyway, Blue is going to move in to Red. For the first time ever, these front lines will move. Blue has never invaded into Red. However, with their new dictatorship, it seems that they don't really care. They don't care that Red used to be their ally, and they don't care at all. It seems all they want is land, and all they want is power. That is what happens when a dictatorship takes over, and that is what is being proven right now. And that will mark the end of episode 18, aka the first episode in World War I. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys liked it. This is the first episode of a few that will be inside of World War I, and it's very exciting, I think. I really like it so far. I've already have a little bit of the war planned out. Not the entire war, obviously. That's a bit too much for me. But I do have a lot of the key moments in this war planned out. I also have it planned out, the ending of the war is kind of planned out, not entirely. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to comment down any ideas you have down below, especially for now, because I want your ideas on what you guys want to see happen inside of World War I. Do you want to see Red push back against Green and have Green get taken over by Red, and then Red has all of Green's land in the end? I don't know, just let me know. Make sure to like, subscribe, and then, like I said before, comment down any ideas you have down below. And that's about it. So this is the first episode of World War I, and until next time, see ya!